So the topic is, are Hashimoto's and other autoimmunes genetic? And the answer appears to be yes. It's funny, we just got this, and I was just reading about this earlier this week, and just coincidentally. And at the time that the data that I was reading was published, there was still a little gray area, I think, going on here. But in the end, it's pretty much become accepted that you have to have the genetics to get it. I give you an example for me. Okay, so I have Hashimoto's. For those of you who may not know, I have Hashimoto's, I have celiac, I have autoimmune gastritis, and 2 other positive antibodies. And interestingly enough, Hashimoto's thyroid disease. My mother had her thyroid taken out. Her sister had her thyroid taken out. My aunt had a goiter, and their brother had MS, had multiple sclerosis. So I got triggered when I was under a lot of stress, and then I got pneumonia, and boom, everything blew up. That seems to be the mechanism. I think it's going that way. I think it's going to end up that way, that yes, it's genetic. Another anecdote that is maybe a little bit better than going into the science of it. When we were first starting to treat chronic fatigue immunodeficiency disease / fibromyalgia, figuring out that gluten was a problem and figuring out that maybe thyroid was involved and those types of things. Once we started to realize that thyroid was involved, particularly the possibility that most of it was Hashimoto's at that point in time. This was 15 years ago or more, 15 years, I think. And so when we started to realize that, one of the ways we started to establish whether the person probably had Hashimoto's and that was the way we wanted to attack the case was by looking at their family history. And if we saw a family history like the one I just talked about on me, and it doesn't have to be even the same autoimmune disease. There's multiple. In other words, I didn't have to get Hashimoto's or MS because it was in my family. There's an understanding that once you've developed autoimmune antibodies to tissues, as you keep not knowing you have it and you keep exposing yourself to triggers, that you'll start getting immune antibodies to other triggers, to other aspects of your DNA that are weaker or that in your lineage somewhere is there. So your DNA, what they say in the classes that I've attended is the DNA is the gun, and then the environmental or the lifestyle or the dietary or the pathogenic triggers pull the trigger. So the DNA is the gun, and triggers, environment, food, pull the trigger, and then that's what creates the autoimmune response. So I think the answer right now is like 90% in the literature towards that. My experience from having looked literally from day one when I got into this for the family history as to, okay, your antibodies are normal, and you don't have swelling in here in your thyroid, but you have all the symptoms and you have family history. I mean, that's honestly still enough for me to attack that case as an autoimmune case, whether it's autoimmune thyroid or whether it's lupus or whether it's Sjogren's or whether it's MS or whatever it is. So the answer to that is, I think, going to come out to be definitively yes. Right now, it's a very strong probability yes, but I like to try to be accurate on these things and give you the latest data. So I'm giving it a yes, that the genetics are the big player as far as perpetuating this through the generations, and a reason as to why we're seeing more and more and more and more of it, because it's being passed on.